So therapy today was really heavy, and we covered a lot of things. And one of the big ones is that I tend to be kind of a fixer person, like when someone's down, it's like my immediate reaction is to sympathize with them and then immediately try talking solutions. And some people aren't receptive to that. And because the way I was raised was to be a people pleaser, is that I feel like if I have control or perceive myself as having control of how the other person feels, then that makes me feel safe because it means they're not mad at me, they're not sad at me. They might be sad, but it's not because of me. And it's like this is a human tendency, it's something we all do, but like because my tendency to that is comes from trauma, it's more difficult for me because when it doesn't work, I feel like I've failed and that I've done something wrong, and that's not true at all. And sorry, I had a hair in my mouth. That's what I was feeling. I'm like, what? But another thing that came up is that when I'm talking to somebody who may be dealing with depression, like I was pre medicine and therapy, or if someone is just sad and nothing I'm saying is helping them feel better, then I start to feel really mad and triggered, not at them, but just I'm perceiving my inability to cheer them up as a failure because of my own trauma. But it's not that I'm a failure, they're just not in a place to accept what I'm trying to give. And so what I should do is just simmer down and listen instead of trying to give that energy away that I don't have to give away. So it's work I have to do. It's not the fault of other people at all, and I never perceived it as that. But I thought the way that I was thinking and feeling was making me a bad person, but no. It's just being human. But in her words, we all have our shit that we're all dealing with. And it may not all be the exact same shit, but we all have it. And we all may struggle with it, and some may struggle more than others. But that doesn't mean we're weak, it doesn't mean we're failures. It just means we're struggling. And struggling is not a moral failing at all. So, I just have to continue on and just be kind of frugal with my energy and just be more aware of where I'm spending it and who I'm spending it on. And it is especially important that I remind myself that I cannot change my dad. That I cannot transform him into someone who is going to be proud of me. I'm not going to transform him into someone who will never get angry at me. And that his perceptions of me are not true. And what really matters is my perception of myself. And I have to work on that because there are still things where I see myself through my dad's eyes when I don't need to. And what's funny is that throughout this whole thing, Laura, she never scolds me. She never makes me feel scolded. She only did one time, and when I brought it up to her, she was like, oh, that was my bad. So, like, I never feel like I'm scolded, even when she's imparting some pretty hard wisdom that I need to hear. And she said that sometimes she has clients she will say one thing and they will perceive it in such a negative way that they get mad at her about it when it's their problem. But it just means that they're not receptive, and maybe they need it given to them in a different way. And so I need to be kinder to myself and just remind myself that I cannot control how other people feel. And that people pleasing, especially when it's born from trauma, is not safety. I have to worry about myself above all. And like when I'm sure I'm okay, then I can worry about is everybody else okay. And it's not selfish to do that. Because that's another thing my dad did was anytime that I ask how something would affect me, that he would tell me I'm being selfish. But then he is the most selfish person in the room. Genuinely, he only cares about his needs. And it's only gotten worse as he gets more and more disabled by the Parkinson's disease. But that's not my failing, that's his failing, and I'm not going to change that. And I've spent almost 45 years of my life trying to, and I have to teach myself that I can't. And that's who he is. He's not going to change, and I just have to worry about who am I, how do I perceive myself, and the crap he says doesn't have to matter. So, if that's where you are in your struggle, just know that everybody's struggling, and it's not a moral failing that you're struggling. And someone else's struggle does not diminish yours. Okay? I love you. And yes, Minus Goji was in therapy with me. Bye bye.